Welcome to our, whatever day today is, Wednesday? I think it's Wednesday. Get ready with me, our free coaching over coffee. If this is your first time, welcome, welcome. If this is not, welcome back. Thanks for being here. So the way that this works is I am not a makeup artist. I am not a beauty influencer. I am just a girl who likes to do some free coaching, and I do it in my bathroom while I get ready in the morning on a live. So it makes my life really easy, and we can connect through Instagram. Okay, cool. We're good to go. Thank you. Sweet. Choppy for a second. Now we're good. Awesome. You're coming in from the UK. That's amazing. I love that. That's so cool. So we are currently in Massachusetts. It's like, where, does anyone remember the show Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? If you don't, then I probably just dated myself, but I couldn't help also but sing it. It was like, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Fun fact, it was a show in the 80s. It probably had like a whopping one season, and my brother actually got to be in the studio audience of one of the episodes. You remember it? Okay, oh my God. I feel like Mike and I live the life of like, where in the world are the DeRoses? Except I can't sing that, and actually my last name is Glazer, so where in the world is Jessica Glazer? I promise the lives have way more value than that. All right, anyway, we travel a lot, and yesterday we were in New Jersey, 3 days ago we were in North Carolina, today we're in Massachusetts. We are currently staying at Mike's best friend's house, so his childhood best friend, hence the like kids' toys in the bathroom. So that's where we are today. And the way this works is you drop questions right there in the little chat bubble with the little question mark, and I answer your questions. They could be business, personal, they could be about you, about me, my business, entrepreneurship, leadership, selling, pricing, sales, social media, launching, digital products, anything. Oh, hey, so funny. I love that you know what that is. This is hilarious. So ask your questions, get them in, and I usually answer just a few questions before we pop off. Typically, I'll start with just like a little soapbox moment of something that I want to share or something that I want to say. So, of course, I'm going to start with something as you get your questions ready to go. I dropped makeup all over his friend's counter. What are you going to do? First time. Okay, so yesterday I had a really special day. I got to graduate one of our classes of Empower, which is our signature program, as well as have a reunion for another one of our classes of Empower. So every class gets like a big welcome call and 12 weeks of coaching and a big graduation, and then we do a reunion call and all the kit and caboodle. And something that we were talking about was something I shared a couple weeks ago. If you did one of the get readies with me, this is a spoon, a very cool spoon that I bent in a meditation. Now, if I were to try to bend this spoon, like no exaggeration, I literally cannot move it. I cannot bend it. But with the power of intention in my mind, I was able to bend this spoon in the middle of a meditation. This is a titanium stainless steel spoon. It says it right there. It's hard to read. I don't know how to do this, how influencers do it. I don't know, but anyway, it's stainless steel. So I had shared this story with my clients a couple weeks ago when it happened, because it just happened about 2 weeks ago that I did it. And when I did the spoon bending exercise, the woman who walked us through it, about half the room wasn't able to bend their spoons. They were struggling with it. And so she had told the half of the room that hasn't bent their spoon, basically the only way that you're never going to bend your spoon is if you stop trying, right? And she was saying like, so long as you continue to try and you tap into this meditation and this frequency and these intentions and you keep putting yourself out there, one day, someday in the future, you will bend your spoon. But it's just going to take time, and it's going to take consistency, and it's going to take repetition. It's going to take trust. It's going to take knowing, right? It's going to take all these things. And so ultimately, the only way that you're going to not bend your spoon is if you stop trying. And so I had shared this story with my clients a couple weeks back. And we've sort of become team spoon bender. Now, I'm not teaching them how to bend spoons. I didn't mail them spoons. It actually has nothing to do with the spoon at all. It's a metaphor for business. And so yesterday, as our class 18 was graduating, and we were talking about where they were in their business journey, and some people aren't where they want to be or where they expected to be or where they were hoping to be, and then some are on the opposite end of the spectrum, and they're so much further, or they blew it along, or it was like so much easier, or whatever that would be. In the chat box of the graduation, a lot of the conversation going on was basically like, I'm committing to be a spoon vendor. And it's using the word yet at the end of the sentence. So like, I haven't launched yet. No one enrolled yet. I didn't make a sale yet, right? And when you can use that little 3-letter word yet, you keep the control and the power within you and the trust and the knowing that it might just take time. And so often we're so focused on what other people are doing around us, right? And we have all this comparison of what other people are doing and how fast they're doing it, whether it's in business, life, relationships, travel, vacations, their body, whatever it might be, how much money they're making. And we get so focused on what other people are doing, it actually takes us off of our game of what we're doing. And so I just wanted to share that with you because it was such a special moment yesterday, a couple hours actually, of seeing these clients who have gone through this insane journey the last technically 17 weeks together, 18 weeks together, and seeing the growth that they've all had. And then to have this conversation going down in the chat and with one another. And then this morning again in the Facebook group where it's just like, yeah, I'm just going to keep showing up. I just haven't done it yet, whatever it is. So whatever it is that you're doing or trying to do, I just want to remind you that sometimes it just takes you a little bit longer. Sometimes it's a path that you didn't recognize, right? It's like, you don't need to know how you're going to get there, and it's not a race to get there, but sometimes it's just giving yourself the space and grace for it to show up however it's going to. I truly believe that the universe has your back, and whether it's the universe or God or Buddha or whomever, in our company we call it pizza. That way we don't say all the different things. We just say pizza as in, the higher good or whatever that might be. Just kind of leaning in and trusting and knowing that sometimes the best things don't happen how you want them to, but they happen how they're meant to, right? And it's such a gift later. All right, I'm coming in with the questions. We're going to start right below. How can you determine what is a good amount or pace for your course content? This is such a great question. My answer here is going to be, when you're building your course out, the way that we teach it inside of our programs is that you're building it with your clients live for the first time. So you sell the offer, the opportunity, the transformation, and then you have the skeleton framework of your course created, as we've talked about on here many, many times. And then when you actually start the course with your clients, that's when you're starting to walk them through your proprietary process to get them to the transformation. So if the question is, how do you know how to pace it? My answer is ask your clients, right? And I don't mean that in a snarky way, but the best way to know is to keep a pulse on your clients. How are they doing? What's their feedback? Are they overwhelmed? Is it going too fast? Is it going too slow? What do they need next? Sending out surveys, the first time or two that you do your course, you might want to be sending out like weekly or bi-weekly surveys. In our 12-week program, we send out week 1 survey, week 6 survey, and then week 12 survey. So we do 3 of them across the board, but we've had so many different rounds of people come through that we feel like we have a pretty good pulse. But ultimately, the unsexy answer is that you're going to want to ask them. You're going to want to have that conversation with them to see what is working, what is not working, but also see if you can read between the lines. So sometimes they're not going to tell you everything because they either 1, don't know, or 2, their ego, right? They might be embarrassed or they might be afraid to ask. So you really need to become their advocate. And so being their advocate means that you're prompting the conversation, you're also asking the questions, but you're also just reading between the lines and you're sort of picking up the unspoken word, right? Like, how are they why have they dropped off? Why all of a sudden are people behind? If you're using a platform like Kajabi, if you're using a platform like Kajabi, you have the ability to also go in and see, what's up, Jeff? You have the ability to go in and see, have people actually watch the videos? How far in the videos have they gotten? And so this is a way for you to sort of like kind of get a pulse check or spy on the back end just to see where they're at. Now, keep in mind, it's not always going to be perfect. The information that a platform like Kajabi is going to give you, if a person ends a video, like let's say it's 10 minutes long and they shut the program down at like 9 minutes and 50 seconds, it might not mark off that they actually watched it. So it's not foolproof. And also we're not like spying on the client to like tattle on them, but you do want to know sort of where they're at. So read between the lines of what is not being said and then ask questions of what is being said. And they're going to give you a pretty good idea. I would say if you're seeing like massive drop off, fall off, or people backing away, distancing themselves, not showing up on calls, not asking questions, not being present if you're using something like a Facebook group for your community, that's usually a pretty good indicator that they're overwhelmed. We as humans like to back away when we're overwhelmed. Most of us don't lean in for help. We sort of back away, which is obviously counterintuitive to what we should be doing. But that's what I would say there. It's really about conversations. Okay, I heard you mention in the past you don't recommend betas. How do you recommend testing your process without a beta? Great question. If you're joining us now, you can drop questions right here in that little circular chat with the bubble in it. I mean, with the question mark in it. We do live coaching over coffee every single day. And yes, I have my coffee here. Again, proof that I'm at my husband's best friend's house who has children. I don't not like betas. I just see beta, like I don't have the definition in front of me. If someone wants to Google it, that would be amazing if you could drop it into the chat box for me. In my head, in the coaching industry, in the realm of creating products, in the business world, I see beta as like a test, okay? So beta is like, we're gonna test out this new product or this new offer, and we might do it for free, we might do it at a discount, we might do it with an expectation value give, right? So like, I'm going to give it to you for free or a discount, and in return, you're going to give me feedback, or in return, you're going to give me a testimonial. Beta oftentimes, especially in the coaching industry, is also something where it's like, I'm not going to give you the full program. So maybe instead of it being a 12-week program one day, the beta is like, oh, it's only going to be a 6-week program right now because I just want to see, like, is it something that people want? So the way that I see it is betas are really tests. And then the way that I also see it is that everything that you do in your business is a test. We take the approach to our business like a scientist. So in fact, we have something coming soon where I may or may not be dressed like a scientist, okay? And I'm really excited about it. When you are a scientist in your business, scientists basically, and if you're one, correct me, but from what I remember from high school 7,000 years ago, is that when you're a scientist, you make a hypothesis, which is a guess, right? And then you run an experiment, at which point you observe, you collect data from said experiment, you go back to your original hypothesis, and you see, were you right, were you wrong, not in like an egoic right or wrong way, but is what you thought going to happen actually what happened, or did something different happen? You write all that down very specifically, and then you take that data and you analyze it and you move forward, not making it mean anything about you, not curling up into a ball and getting upset if it did or did not work. You take the data back and you just rerun the science project again and again and again, and you keep experimenting. And so when I think about science, right, I think about taking two items and pouring them together and seeing if they explode. So when you take two things and you pour them together and they don't explode, you mark that down. And then you change one of the items, not both of the items. So this is going to be like the worst. This is the worst. Okay, here we go. I'm in this kid's bathroom right now, so I don't want to use his products. Okay, so you have water and oil. You put them together and you're like, man, it didn't explode. That's weird. You have to keep one of the items. So now you have water and now you have gasoline, and you put them together and you're like, they didn't explode. And now you have water, you still keep the water, and then you bring in a third item. So now you have coffee and you put them together and you're like, man, that didn't explode. And so you're only changing one of the items every single time, right? And each time you do it, you write down the data, you write down the analytics, you write down the feedback, everything that you get, and you continue to tweak and iterate and move forward until you find something that does or does not explode. When you figure out that those two things do explode together, like baking soda and what is it, peroxide or something to make the volcano, I don't remember. But when you figure out that those two items do explode together, or they bubble or whatever, you write that down, and now you know that when those things are mixed, you're going to get that solution, or you're going to get that outcome. The way that I approach my business is exactly that. Exactly that. I take items, I make hypotheses. I run experiments like launches, putting out products, offerings, asking questions on my stories, polls, doing lives, podcast episodes, collaborations, guest coaching, speaking opportunities, new products, free products, paid products, emails, click rates, open rates. We look at everything from a neutral standpoint and we say, this is interesting. What's the data here? What is working? I say that in quotes. What is not working? What happens when we do this? What happens when we pull this lever? What happens when we push this dial? What happens when we turn this? And so when you take that approach to business, aren't you always in beta? So for me, the idea that you're going to create a beta test of anything, in my world, it just is. Everything that you do technically starts with a beta. Anytime you do something for the first time, it is a beta. The reason I don't like teaching my clients to actually run a beta, call it a beta, treat it like a beta, act like a beta, is because the mind is funny. And the mind is always looking for an out when it's uncomfortable. And so when we're in uncertainty, when we're doing something new for the first time, when we're not sure about something, we often look for certainty, right? And so how can I be certain about this thing that I'm uncomfortable with? How can I grasp onto something that feels familiar in a world that feels so unfamiliar? And so when I quote unquote allow my clients to run a beta, there's a mindset shift that happens that feels like there is now a lifeline, a safety net, like a ring in the ocean that they can grab onto if they feel like they're drowning. And in my opinion and experience, that often is not great for people. A lot of people need to not burn the bridges or burn the boats to see results, but a lot of us need to move away from the comfort. Yesterday on our graduation call, we were talking about how easy it is to stay in the warm, cozy blanket on your couch with a fire when it's snowing. But it sucks, for those of you, we have Arizona people on here, it sucks to go outside in the snow, especially when you don't have the proper clothing on. Like, who wouldn't want to stay cozy on the couch? So for me, the psychology that happens of someone thinking that they're running a beta and it's something that they know they can walk away from, detach from, they don't have to go all in, they're not maybe going to charge the full price, their consumers aren't going to treat it like a real program. I just don't like psychologically what it does to the business owner or to the consumer. So in my opinion, your first round is always a beta, but I don't think it should be run at half-ass. Can I say that on here? I don't think it should be run at half-ass. I don't think you should put half effort into it. I don't think the clients should expect half effort or half result. And I don't think that they're going to show up the way that they would if it were a full-blown thing. So I just don't love the terminology beta. I don't think it's necessary for my clients to use that when they're launching something. It kind of just is a beta. When is it not a beta? Everything that you do inside of your business is a beta. It's always a test. We're always just tweaking the dial and turning. So that's my opinion on not wanting you to run a beta. It's not that I don't want you to. All of our clients who are graduated Power last night, they're all running their courses and coaching programs for the first time now. So they've gotten people into their program through selling their offer, not their product, right? And we can have a conversation about that. And now their programs are going to start in the next couple weeks, and they're going to run their clients through something that has never existed before. They're building it as they go. They have the skeleton, the framework, they know what they want to teach and where and how and when, but now they're allowing their clients to really help navigate the speed and the direction. They may have put it together as an 8-week program, knowing one day they want it to be 10 or 12, but most likely, no. Most of us have so much information we want to give because our egos want to over-deliver to make us feel valuable, important, smart, and it's worth it. So most of us actually pack too much information into too little time, and we try to get too many things done. And we usually just overwhelm our clients. And we do that in launches too, when we talk about our products. We end up talking about the bells and the whistles and all the things inside the deliverables instead of the transformation. So my whole thing here, we teach a lot of high-ticket group coaching programs and high-ticket courses. That's what a lot of our clients are selling. So most of our clients are selling things that are typically higher than $500. So maybe $400 or $500 when they start, but ultimately they're selling programs, courses, and coaching programs that are going to be $1,000, $1,200, $1,500, $2,000, $3,000. We have clients that sell $8,000 courses and packages. So that's where we live. When our clients first launch, they might launch it at $800 and sort of get their feet wet and get confidence and make some sales and get some testimonials. And then the second time they launch, they might bump it up to $1,200. And so there might be a place that they know they want to go. And the first round might have 3 people enroll and maybe 1 person came in on a discount. But then the second time they launch, they might have 10 people come in and nobody's on the discount. So for me, I'm just like, I don't love this idea of beta because again, I feel like it just creates an out for everybody. And I don't want you to have an out. Not that I want to hold you by the fire, but at the same time, it's like nothing changes if nothing changes. So that's my opinion on beta. At the end of the day, they kind of are doing a beta regardless because like I said, everything is a beta. In fact, we just did something in our business last week, which technically was a beta. So if anyone came to Content That Converts, which was a free training that I hosted last week, I ran it 3 times live last week. That technically would be a beta because it was the first time that I ever used that particular platform. I'd never used Webinar Jam before. I had only ever used things like Zoom or StreamYard or a couple other ones. But just because it was pouring coffee with water instead of gasoline with water or alcohol with water, because it's new, then isn't it technically a beta? But I didn't come out and say like, hey, you should come to my Content That Converts training beta, right? Like it's a beta. And it might not be great, and it's a beta, so don't expect the full percentage of me. And it's a beta, so you're not gonna have to pay as much, or it's a beta, so I don't expect you to show up in the way that I want you to, right? So that's kind of my feeling on beta. I hope that makes sense. That's a great question. Okay, I will answer one more question. So drop it into the little chat bubble right there. We've got a little chat bubble with a question mark inside. If you're just joining us now, this is my morning, Monday through Friday, Get Ready With Me, where I do free coaching over coffee in whatever bathroom I'm in, because I am always traveling. So right now, while we live in Arizona, we're currently in Massachusetts visiting friends and family. Tomorrow we are driving yet again. That is just what we do. Sometimes I find it hard to believe that we're still not living the RV life, because sometimes it really feels like we are. When we lived in the RV for 14 months, traveling through 27 states, we moved pretty much once a week. It was pretty chaotic for a little over a year. Amazing, wouldn't trade it for the world, but holy bananas. Sometimes I feel like we're back there, driving across the country every summer. We're going to Europe next week, all good things, but yeah, holy bananas. Okay, last question. Not getting any traction after posting consistently. What's your guess on the issue? That is like asking a doctor to diagnose when I don't know the symptoms and I can't see it. That's going to be really hard for me to answer here. So I'm just going to throw a bunch of stuff out. The thing that I would look at first is not the content that you're creating, but let me back up. The thing that I would look at first is not necessarily like the content. So your videos, your pictures, your reels, are you wearing the right clothing or makeup? Did you use the right lighting? Are people attracted to your Canva slides? Like I wouldn't look at that stuff first. What I would look at is the foundational elements that most people forget about. And we actually have a whole program called the Forgotten Essentials because most people forget to do these things, especially as their businesses grow. The gap from where you were to where you are gets much bigger. The gap between where your ideal client is and where you are gets much bigger. Your understanding and remembering of those things gets really small. So what I would say here is first and foremost, take a day to sit with yourself and go back in and do the things that you might not want to do. Like, what is your niche or your niche? Has it changed? Can you go a little bit deeper? Have you gotten too wide? We earn our right to go wide with our niche over time. But the problem is that over time we go so wide that we're no longer niche. And this happens to everybody. It's happened to me multiple times. So every now and then, once a quarter, you want to check in with this stuff, at least twice a year. So check in with your niche. Have you gotten too wide? Do you need to go narrow again? Then from there, check in with your ideal client. Do you truly know who your ideal client is and where they're at right now and what they need right now? If you didn't exercise like that 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, or 3 years ago, it might not be relevant anymore. Society changes, technology changes, the way that we consume and the way that we purchase changes. People's habits change. Like, we can't argue that 2019 was different than 2020. You know what I mean? So like, if that's the case, when was the last time you went in and did an ideal client exercise for yourself? So make sure that you go in and you reaffirm who your ideal client is and what they want and need. Now, most coaches have learned methods of ideal client that really focus on geographic and demographic. Geographic and demographic, of course, are like where they live, but it's also how much money do they make? Where do they hang out? Who are they following on social media? What do they look like? How old are they? Are they married? Do they have kids? That stuff is cool. Like, that's fine and all, but that's a very 2015 way of thinking about your ideal client. So rather than looking at just that stuff, we need to look at the psychographics of what are they saying in their head? What's keeping them up at night? What are they stressed out about? What are their pains, their pleasures, their desired outcomes? What are their challenges, their struggles? What have they tried? Where do they want to go? Using their exact language. So first and foremost, it's like, go back to the basics, niche and ideal client, get super clear on that. From there, create a T-chart, line down the middle. I used to be an elementary school teacher, okay? Line down the middle, T-chart, pains, pleasures. Where are they now? What have they done? What are they trying? Why does it suck? Why do they want out? Like all of that. And then on this side, where do they want to go? What are their desired outcomes and goals? What would be amazing if they could rub a genie lamp together and have 3 wishes granted tonight, magically coming up here, wave of a wand, like what would that be? But again, you have to use their language. So we teach very different ways than a lot of people of where to figure out that language. And I'm not going to get into it today, but I do teach a couple methods that are very, very different than what other coaches are teaching. And you want to make sure that you are using their language. Now, from there, once you have that stuff locked down, then I would say, look at your sort of baseline of what does your content look like? Excuse me. Is there brand identity? Is there recognition? Or is there cohesion? I know you're saying you're consistent, but is there cohesion in the things that don't matter, like colors and font and stuff like that? Are you using hooks? Are you using call to actions? You know, a lot of people teach you got to get a hook in your caption or your reel, and then you give the meat and potatoes and you give a call to action. But what people are missing are 2 other really important parts. There's actually 5 pieces to this sandwich. So piece number 1 is going to be your hook, or how do you grab their attention in a very, very attention grabbing, hard to get people to notice you way, right? So what's the hook going to be that's in a reel or a caption or an email or a podcast? So how are you going to get their attention? The second thing that people are missing is the transition. This is the context. So we don't want to just go from hook to, I don't want to give you my middle finger. We don't want to go from hook to value, right? Or hook to meat and potatoes or hook to education. We have to put a contextual transition in here. So you go from your hook to the context of why this is important. Why should they stick around to read? Why should they stick around to listen? What makes you an expert and or authority? How are you going to bridge the gap between why you called them in, who it's for, and then what you're going to share with them? The meat and potatoes is going to be the tips, the value, the story, the testimonial. It's going to be whatever the meat and potatoes is. The 4th part is another one that people miss. So people miss number 2 and number 4, and this is going to be a transition out. Okay, so we don't want to just go from hook to value to CTA. We want to give a transition with context and a transition with summary context. So this transition out is now putting a bow on everything that you said, taught, gave, delivered. And so if you're not watching this live and you're listening to me, I'm using my fingers here. So we've got the hook is your thumb. I'm holding my hand up sideways because I'm imagining layers of a sandwich. We use like a hamburger. So my thumb is the bun and that's the hook. Then my pointer finger is going to be the contextual transition, and that's going to be like the lettuce. And then my middle finger is going to be the meat and potatoes. And so that's going to be the actual like burger patty itself. My ring finger is now the transition out. So this is putting a bow on everything. This is why it's important to them. This is how it's going to affect them in the future. An imagine if, a cost of inaction, putting a bow, closing it out. And then so that would be, I guess, like mayonnaise or ketchup or something like that underneath. I don't really know. I don't eat burgers. And then my pinky is going to be the CTA, or the call to action. At the very end, we want to give them something to do. 80 to 90% of the time, that call to action should just be light and easy. We never want to use a call to action like, tell me your biggest challenge in the comments, because people don't want to bare their soul on your comments in front of your followers on the internet. Okay, so keep in mind, it could be something more like, put your favorite emoji if you agree, or tag a friend who needs this reminder, or it could be a call to action that they have to answer, but you don't want there to be a barrier to entry on the answer. So it could be something light and fun. It could be multiple choice where you're giving them an A and a B and they just need to respond there. So that's going to be your general framework for your everyday post, whether that is like a reel or even you're doing a story or it's a written caption, again, podcast episode, email, anything like that. Also, last tip I'll say here, because I could talk about this for hours, make sure that you're getting people involved in your story, right? So like using Instagram stories, using polls, using lives, get people really introduced to you. We can learn a lot from seeing someone's picture. We can learn a lot more when we're talking to them. So one of the reasons I love doing these get ready with me videos is, number one, I come on here with no makeup, no filter. It's just me. I'm almost 40 years old. I've got circles and bags, and yet I woke up with a pimple, right? So I come on here, I'm real and raw. It's video, it's me talking. I choke over my coffee sometimes. I can smile, I can laugh, I can be in a mood, and you can feel that through the video, where you just can't feel that through picture, and definitely not through written word. I can't give too much more right here because there's so far that I want to go. This is one of my favorite topics to teach on, so I'm going to give a shameless plug here. If you're not a part of the Secrets to Selling on Social Media Masterclass, you can purchase that at any given moment. That is on my website. That is available everywhere. And if you want to sort of get a taste of what that would look like, Content That Converts, which is the free training that I gave last week, you can also grab that. So shoot me, and that's free. So shoot me a DM and just say content, and I can have a conversation with you. But our Secrets to Selling on Social Media Masterclass is a 2-hour workshop that I had run live with, there's about 50 or 60 people on there. And I'm going back and forth. I'm answering Q&A. I'm showing exactly how to do every single thing that you want to do on Instagram. It is specific to Instagram. The theories that are taught can be used across any platform, but I'm showing you every button, every toggle, every feature, every single thing on Instagram. Filters, how to do overlays, rainbow text. We're talking about captions. We're talking about, you can come in. We're talking about all sorts of things. I just got creamer delivered. Are you kidding me right now? So fun fact, I'm not a huge fan of black coffee, but we didn't have any creamer in the house here. So thank you. Should I use my spoon? Should I use my spoon? I got creamer delivered. Are you kidding? My day has been made. Let's do it. Let's use the spoon. I hope this won't like chip off the flavor or the colors. Okay, so my bent spoon that I bent with my mind. This is crazy. Here we go. Creamer was delivered to the bathroom. We are now spoon stirring. Drop a heart. I mean, come on, give me some love here. Drop a heart. I'm so grateful. I have the best husband in the world, as well as his best friend who went out and got creamer for me. Are you kidding? So spoiled. So spoiled. Stop. Candy Valentino. I'm so excited to see you here. All right, my friends, I think I have answered all of your questions today. Please, if you loved this, come back and join me tomorrow. So we do these every Monday through Friday. They are Get Ready With Me in whatever bathroom, in whatever state and country I am in. It doesn't matter. Whatever coast I am on, we are consistent with these. Remember, we don't save these to my Instagram. We do repurpose the really, really good ones over on our podcast, Digital Business Evolution. We've got 3 episodes that come out per week, so make sure you go listen to that. And from the very beginning, if you didn't see it, we were chatting all things spoon bending. Remember, the only way that you're never going to bend your spoon or grow your business or get more followers or have the readiness that you're thinking that you want to feel, or the confidence, because, readiness and confidence are both an illusion. But the only way that you'll ever not do it is if you stop trying. Keep trying. Keep working towards it, whatever it is. I hope this was helpful. If you ever need anything, I'm just a DM away. I appreciate you so much. Happy August, my friends. I'm going to go enjoy this adorable M&M mug coffee with my creamer. Oh, we end every episode with cheers to your evolution. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you loved this episode, I invite you to be a part of our ripple effect and share it with a friend. And please, if you feel called, take 30 seconds to leave a 5-star review, and I'll be forever grateful. Until next time, cheers to your evolution.